Released on March 23, 2007, TMNT 2007 is a CG animated movie revolving around the fictional reptilian team as they try and stop an ancient evil from plaguing the Earth. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been around since 1984 and started off as a one-off comic created by Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman from Mirage Comics. It became a household name in 1987 with the release of their first cartoon series and came back in 2003 with another animated show to solidify their name. TMNT 2007 doesn't necessarily draw from any previously released material pertaining to the franchise as primary inspiration. Rather, it takes bits and pieces from the comics and cartoons and fills in the rest with a new story. There were 3 other TMNT movies released before this one, and they were live action and also varied in quality, released in the 90s, so it's been a while since the Turtles had seen the big screen. So without further ado, let's give this movie a closer look. First, let's discuss the plot of the movie to lay down the blueprints. Years before the movie starts, Leonardo was sent to South America by Splinter to hone his abilities and become a better leader for his brothers. He protects the people and uses the peace of Mother Nature to self-reflect. Back in New York, things haven't been the same since Leo left. Donatello has become a shut-in and is constantly absorbed in his job as IT tech support. Michelangelo takes up a job as a party entertainer, but is unfortunately abused by the kids he's supposed to entertain. And Raphael has become a vigilante during the night and fights crime on the streets under the name the Night Watcher. April O'Neil goes to South America to check in with Leo and try to persuade him to return to New York. At first, he is hesitant, but after a battle with the local villains, and April telling him the situation at home, Leo realizes his brothers need him and hitches a ride back to the Big Apple. Donnie and Mikey are glad to see their big brother home, but Raph is dismayed, angered that he left them for so long, and he has to now follow his orders. Meanwhile, a rich millionaire named Max Winters wants to reunite with his old clan from many years ago, something that was explained in the intro. You see, Winters was a warrior by the name of Yaddle that fought alongside his army centuries past, and was able to become immortal through a power by unleashing dangerous beasts into the world. However, this same power also destroyed his clan and warriors, leaving him to live the rest of his life in regret and shame. He wants to end his immortality, and can do so now that 3,000 years have passed, if he captures these beasts again. Using his new technology, Winters is able to bring back his 4 generals after they return into stone from the ancient power. Winters also seeks the help from the Foot Clan. Karai, the daughter of the Shredder, is the leader of the clan, rather than her father, due to the evil figure being bested by the TMNT before the events of the movie. The Turtles try to reunite back as a team through some rooftop parkour, but during their session, they hear a wail coming from a construction building. They go to investigate, and find one of the mythical creatures destroying the set. The Foot Clan jump in, and the Turtles are not able to capture the beast, and must escape back to the sewers. This creates a huge disconnect between Leo and Raph. One night, Raph and Casey go to fight some crime when they run into one of the mystical beasts and are subdued by one of Winters' generals. Casey takes Raph to April's apartment, and Donnie and April figure out that Winters is the unleasher of the beast, and they need to stop him before he does any more damage. Raph is able to recover, but heavily dislikes Leo's guidance and leaves the team. As the Night Watcher, Raph goes out to fight one of the beasts on his own, only for the creature to escape. Leo runs into Raph as the Night Watcher, and they get into a fight where Raph wins, only to be ashamed of his victory and promptly runs away. Leo is then shot with a sleeping dart and is captured by Winters' generals, mistaking him for one of the beasts. Raph goes back to the lair, angry at his selfish decisions, where Splinter tells him that his anger isn't his problem, it's the way he uses it. The team notice Leo hasn't come back, so they team up with Casey and April to save Leo from Winters. Meanwhile, Winters' generals backstab him, taking on their own set of orders. Rather than freeing Winters from immortality, they want the power for their own. The team is able to come up with a plan to distract the Foot Clan, fight Winters' beast, and release Leo. The team is successful. Winters, now betrayed, knows the operation won't work anymore, and helps with fighting his generals and stopping the power from causing any more destruction. They win, and the day is saved. Now that I've laid out the basics, let's talk about the good things. The turtles' personalities are executed quite well. They're not flanderized and actually show some humility and character. The characters also show some development whenever Leo comes back, and it makes sense why the other three become the turtles they are without their blue brother. Donatello becomes a shut-in and obsessed with technology. Mikey tries to be upbeat and cool, but his job brings his attitude and sharpness down, and Raph has no respect for authority and doesn't understand when to stop. They become the worst part of their character, developing deep into their flaws. However, once Leo's back, Donatello utilizes his amazing tech and impressive intellect to help the team, and Mikey's quips are on point, and so is his fighting. Of course, Raphael still has a problem with authority. After all, he was always a stubborn one, but after his showdown with Leo, he understands why his brother is the leader and not him, leading him to back down and trust his decisions. Speaking of Raphael, his Night Watcher persona fits his personality quite well, especially without Leo being on the team. Raph has been known to try and fight his own battles without the help or guidance of his brothers, often abruptly leaving the lair to blow off some steam. Usually his brothers would come after him and help him to come to his senses, but without Leo's leadership, Raph has become a manifestation of his worst qualities. His anger takes him over. The suit is symbolism, a man that wants to fight evil and stay true to his master's teaching of doing good, but overcome with power and arrogance. He doesn't know when to stop. Anyways, Splinter is that same old wise mentor, giving good advice to his students, but not portraying him as perfect. After all, he could lead and advise his students to fight crime while they wait for Leo to return. Casey and April are also good characters. April is their ever so helpful human ally that will use her smarts in any way to help the team, and even knows ninjutsu, so she can also help fight enemies. Casey may not be the brightest bulb on the tree, but his fighting skill is nothing to flinch at. Not to mention, he's got a good heart. He gets to fight crime with his best pal Raph, and when Raph decides to leave the team in the apartment scene, the pain of the decision can be seen on his face. Of course, this decision makes the whole team disheartened, but it especially hurts Casey, considering the time he and Raph spent during the time Leo was gone. We're not done with characters yet. Let's discuss Karai. Karai, like how she is in other TMNT media, is menacing, a little evil, but she can be swayed to the good side, and never backs down. Karai isn't shown too much during the movie. After all, the main focus is on the turtles and how Leo's supposed to unite the team, but I think more time to her would have added to the overall quality of the movie. Not to mention, discussing more about the Shredder could have added some world building to the movie, as there's no doubt he had some kind of influence on New York, the Turtles, and the Foot Clan. And the worst for last, Max Winters. This guy doesn't really have a personality. He's just a rich dude that doesn't see any possible consequences to the dangerous things he's doing. And then dangerous things go, and oh no, the good guy's gotta save him. Yeah, it's kinda lazy and generic, and this also kinda fits into the plot. The villain's evil creatures thing doesn't really work with the rest of the plot. The troubles of Leo trying to become a leader again, Raph butting heads with Leo, Casey trying to rekindle with April, and everybody just trying to do their best doesn't fit in that well with random creatures prowling around and the Foot Clan taking them. The idea of Leo leaving and coming back to lead his team, but ultimately still having to learn the basics of teamwork and fighting with Raphael, provides for a good setup. This tension and conflict leaks into the relationship with the team, and shows how the characters will react to adversity, and shows the importance of their bond. After all, previous adaptations had similar stories, and worked well, but the whole having to fight unleashed creatures really doesn't connect with this conflict. It will work a lot better if they fought the Foot Clan or any other evil organization. Having to fight random beasts is just weird and bland. Speaking of fighting, the action scenes are nicely done. They're energetic, and the fighting styles of the characters shine in the way they move and the techniques they use with their weapons. I mentioned this briefly, but there's this subplot about April and Casey wanting to rekindle their relationship. It's mentioned once by Casey, then elaborated with the scene where they move the statue, then kinda resolved at the end. It's pretty shallow and doesn't add that much to the movie. Now, let's talk about the visuals. For a movie made in 2007, I personally think this movie looks good. There's detail in the turtles' bodies, their facial animations, for the most part, look human-like, and they don't look creepy or super unnatural. The movie has good shading and shadows, the darkness of New York and the sewers work well, and they create an environment that shows that the turtles must move into the darkness to fight evil. After all, if they get caught in the daylight, their days of fighting crime could be over. The designs aren't anything too special or amazing. They do look a little, slimy at times, but they do their job. And remember, this movie was released in 2007, so we have to keep in mind the limitations at the time. The Beast and Winter Soldiers are pretty cool looking too. They're menacing, and they look like they're from another world. The humans also look fine. They're nothing special, but to be fair, no one looks as cool as unworldly creatures or the TMNT. The voice cast is also really good. The actors are a natural fit for the characters they voice. After all, they are some pretty legendary people in the animation field. This movie doesn't really have any comedic moments. Mikey's got quips, but that's about it. TMNT doesn't have to be silly or funny. It can largely be a serious story that has developed characters and plots. The 2003 show did a stellar job in that aspect, but even then, it had some less serious moments to break some tension, and showed the bond between the brothers is more than just fighting together. Even 2003 had some funny moments sprinkled in. TMNT 2007 may lack in terms of story and plot, but the visuals are nice, the characters are well written, and the voice cast is close to perfect. While I consider 2007 to be a good movie, the loose plot takes a huge dent on the movie's quality. Luckily, the other things about this movie is just enough to hold it up so it's decent and can keep an audience attention. A sequel was planned, however, the franchise was bought out by Viacom in 2009, so any more animated follow-ups were cancelled, prompting the company to make a live-action reboot in 2014. I think a sequel for this movie would have been great. They already had an established world and characters, so they could have done a lot more in terms of building the world of this TMNT universe, and potentially exploring more things such as the history of the Foot Clan, or more backstory about the mystical beast. And until next time, let's kick some shell.